Salut coders, welcome back to another tutorial. This is Bisk here. Warm greetings to those who are joining us for the first time. In this tutorial, we want to implement services. So on the previous tutorial, we created the use models and repositories. So the service that you want to start with, it's a user service because everything starts from the user. So let's just create a new service and code user service. Here, let me create a new package and I call it this package, I call it service. We already have this package called services that we created on previous tutorial. So what we want to do, let's create a new service, and this one we call it user service. And it's going to be an interface like this. And with our user service, we want to create a new user. So when creating a user, we want to return a user, and let's import this one, and we say create user, and then we pass a user module that you want to create. Then we want to delete a user. Let's say we want to delete this user. We just say delete by user ID. Then we can pass a string ID. On our user, we also want to follow, remember, we want to follow an artist. So the user wants to follow an artist. So here we just say void, I just say user follow artist. Then here we just say user ID. In artist ID. Then we want also to unfollow artist. So these are the, for now, let's just have this service. Let's have this method. For now, let's have this method. Just for now, we need to add this implementation on our user service. So now let's add a class that implements this one. So let's do this. And this one is the implementation of our interface implements. So before we forgot, we want to add this user service implementation into our inversion control container. So we just do this add service, and we are using Lombok. We can just say add required Axe constructor, and also let's add SL. This one we are going to use it for logging. So let's implement other methods, these 4 methods, and here let's just say private final user repository. So we are going to call the user repository methods that some of them we are going to create them, or we can use the existing one like save, delete by ID. So we are going to call this, we are going to create custom, which are like to follow an artist and unfollow an artist, and I will show you how we can do that. So let me continue. We have a year, so let's just copy this one, copy the user service. We want to add for a year, paste. This one is a year service. Remember, we want to delete, so let me just say delete by ID. We know it's a year. Then here we just say create. So create is just creating a new model. Here it's a year and supposed to return a year. So for here, I don't think I have to delete a year. What I can do is just get a year. So it's just get by ID. We can get the year. and or we can pass the year here. Then let's add the implementation here. You can see in our year we are more focusing on this one, which is a year, and it's an integer. So I did something wrong here. Let's make it an integer, and let's implement this here. Let's add service, and also add SL, this one, and it required, and let's implement these methods. Don't forget to add our repository, private final, year, repository. So if you remove this final, you can see this injection. We are supposed to have this injection always ready. Please check this to make sure that you avoid null pointer exception. So if I remove this final, you can see it is gone. So when you try to use here repository, it won't work because it's supposed to be final. This is how it works with this it required constructor, and we are using a constructor dependency injection. Don't use the auto wired. It's a bad design, and it's not recommended, but it also works. So another one, we want to create a user service, a playlist, sorry. Let's create a playlist service, playlist. We want to create a playlist, so here we just say playlist create. So here we want to get playlist, but for now, for this get, I will show you later. I don't prefer to use this get when I want to write custom get, because right now with the Neo4j it doesn't support less loading. So if a playlist contain in a song and a song is attached to an artist, you can retain everything. So let's avoid using get. Don't use a find by ID in Neo4j. So we shall create a get which is custom, and we can get the information, only few information that we want. So let's remove this, and let's add a void which is delete by ID, and string, it's an ID, and we want to, I think we are okay for a playlist. Let's just create a playlist, and then we can also add song into a playlist. So let's just do that. We can say void add song into playlist. Then here it's a playlist ID, song ID, and just in case, let's just add the user ID who is adding the song. So that's okay. We can do this. That's all. So we can add the implementation here, which is in our service new Java class, and this is the implementation. Always add service, it required, it SL, and let's add the implementation, implement this one, and we can implement all the methods. Here we just say private playlist repository. So we are okay with the playlist. And our next one, it's a song service. Let's copy this playlist. Song service. For a song, we want to create a song. And user can delete a song. It's okay. We can have this. And what you want to do again is to like a song. Void user like a song. So here we just say string song ID and also string user ID. So you want to add the relationship of user who like this song, and if someone dislike user dislike. So it's just the same. If you like, you can also dislike the song. So yeah, okay. Just for let's do this for now, and we can add implementation of a song. New Java class. It implements add service, and we can add it this one at all required. This one, let's use at all required as constructor, and private final a song repository. So people used to say Java is boilerplate code. With this Lombok thing, you can see we are now writing clean code, and the code is easy to maintain. The way we are writing, anyone can modify on this code, and you can do your modification and do some work around on it. So let's continue. Right now we have song service. Let's look for album service. Let's create an album service. I want to take this one with the full method. Paste, and this one I can call it album service, and we want to create an album. A user can create an album like an artist, and can get an album, but this one we want to be a custom. So let's just do I don't void, and I can say delete by ID string. This is an album ID, and also a user can like an album. So here we can say user like an album. So here we just say album ID string user ID. As you can see, are you noting something? If I'm in album service, the first parameter that I'm starting right, it's an album ID. If I'm in song service, the first parameter, it's a song ID. So I just want to do this because it won't confuse me when I am passing parameters for this. And also can use a dislike. If you like it, you can dislike it, just removing the relationship. Remember, this implementation is just adding relationship between an album and a user. So here we just add an implementation for that. So let's create a new Java class, and this one you can say imp and it can implement this. Its service, it required Axe constructor, it SL, private, final. This one is an album repository. So we shall have some custom, like I will show you. We already have the logic for this, so it's going to be easy to implement. So what else can we add now? We have an album, we have an artist, we need a comment. So let's have a comment. Let's copy our year service, copy. Paste. Remember, we need to create a comment. You need to create a comment. Right now, I'm more focusing on the creation part. We will do the retrieving part later, but let's focus on creation part. Void delete by ID. So we can delete this comment by ID. And for comment, we know we are going to update it. So update. Then here, string. As I told you, I was doing something wrong here. Update. I want to have the ID first, which is for update this one. So let's just add the implementation of comment. Paste a new Java class. Comment implementation. Then let's add its service. ETSL, and it required Axe constructor, private, final, comment repository. That's all. So what else should we add? So let's add another one, which is a genre service. So we can copy this one and paste this one. Genre service, and we can say create. Here it's supposed to be genre. We want to create a genre. These genres are created by the admin, so don't worry more about these genres. So the genre, let's look into our genre. It is artist song, so we don't need to get for this. I'll show you an example why we don't need a get for this one. So we need custom, so we'll show you how to implement them using projection. Delete by ID. So another thing is we want to add an artist into a genre. So we just say add artist to genre. Then here it's a genre ID. So I just say genre ID and string artist ID. And we want to add, we can remove artist from genre. Basic crude. No, we need to add a song into genre. So we just say add song to genre. Here we just say song ID. So here you just add, we can add song into genre. So you need the genre ID and the song, then you add a relationship. And if you want to remove, we can remove the relationship that you already added here. So that's okay here. So we, after doing this, we can just let's come here. Let's add an implementation for this. Add service. Add SL4 and also add required axe constructor. Remember, don't forget to add our private final. What do we call it? It's we are in genre service, so we need to add a genre repository like this. So for genre, we are now okay. So did we miss anything here? You have a year, we have a user, sing, playlist, comment, artist. So what you want to do for the artist here, I need to add a GTO for a song record, this one, and I put it here. I just want to add a new package called GTO. So we want to limit the number of fields when creating a record. So the data that we are going to send, we are trying to send as minimal data as possible. So for this one, it's a record. So for an artist, when creating a song, this one is a song record. So I want to make it here. We are using Java 17 and above, so it's a record. So for this record, so when creating a song, we need to pass a string title like this, and also we need to pass a storage ID which was saved on Bunnynet, and we need to pass also a release here. We need to pass an album ID. Let me do this. A duration, and a duration, make it long. This is the duration of a song. We need to pass a storage type. What else do you want to pass? And also a song type. It's either an audio or video. String song type. Then I think with these fields we are okay when you want to release a, and also this is a release here. We forgot to add a release date. Let's add a release date. Local date time. The song when it was released. Release the date. So let's go and modify our create method on our let's go to our service of our, when creating song, let's go to song service here. When you're creating a song, we want to pass this, which is a song record, this one, and also we need an artist ID. So this is the change that you want to make, and let's go to the first method here and our implementation like this. So these are the fields that a user is supposed to pass when creating a song, and we need them on the initial on the first request when creating a new song on our backend. So that's okay here. So what else we can also create a simple one just for, let's create for a storage. Let's create a new record like a user record, user registration request record, and it's supposed to be a record. So what is in our user? Let's go to our user model. We have these fields. Let's add these fields. Let's remove all these privates. Remove this, remove this, remove this, and remove the comma, the semicolon, and put a comma. This is how we create records, and do this and remove this. And the other thing that we want here, I think it's a bool. Either this user is an artist or not. So when creating a user, let's go to our user service. Let's modify here, and this is a user. Do you have a user ID in the request? Yes, we have a user ID. So let's go to the implementation, and we can import this. So that's all. So these are the few details that we will send from our REST API. So we are okay with this. So what else do we need again? So I think we are okay with this. Let's now go to our implementation and start to add the implementations. So let's start with the user implementation. So for a user implementation, we want to save a new user here. So remember, on our user, we added this at builder. So the reason of adding that builder, it's because I know I wanted to use a record here. So the best way we can do is just say user.build, and then we can set the username, right, from user.name. Then we can set also the date of birth from user date of birth. Or what I can do is just do this so that let me do this like this here. We have date of birth, we have an ID, then we can say ID, which is an ID that is coming from here. We also have a gender. You can pass a gender. We also have a language. We also have a country where this user stays, the address of this user. Then you just say .build. Then you just say it will create a variable for you, which is a user. Just call it a user1. So what you can do now, because of we have this, right? We want to create this user. So before I create this user, I must check if I don't have any user in my application. So there's this method that we call this one. Someone who suggest say find by ID. Then I can pass the user.id, and then it can return an optional, which is a user optional. So the problem with this logic, remember in our user, our user has comments, has follow relationships, has albums, has playlists, has genre. So, and in albums we have also we have songs that are in here. So the problem of Neo4j, if you try to do this, it will get every details of that user. So it's very bad because of constraints. You can constrain. It can take time to pull all the records. If someone have million records in terms of likes, comments, let's talk about Eminem. So you can pull all those records, all of them. So to use this method, you don't use this find by ID. Don't use it. So what we can do, and an option that we have, it's like we have what is called projection. So what you can do here in our model here, I just go and create a new package, and I can say projection. So I can create a user projection, right? So in this user projection, what I can do is that I can just create a new interface. It's supposed to be an interface, and I can call it user projection. So in this interface, we just add few details that we want from the user. So what I can call this one is going to be a user projection, and it's an interface. So if it's an interface, what you have to do, you can see in here we have a user, and user is an ID. As you can know, with implementation, you can get, usually we just get at getters. So what I can do, a simple way that I can do, just do this. I can say generate getters only, and I need only for these fields, and I can copy these getters. I can copy this. So in an interface, we don't need an implementation. The purpose is just do this and remove this public. We can get the ID. We can get the name. These are the only fields. You don't need all the things like a collection. And in an interface, all the methods are public by default. So that's why we are seeing this public keyword being. So I can remove this. I can remove this also, remove this, remove this, remove this. So this get ID is the same. It's the same. It's like this one. So if you use projection, you can say get ID. Here it will get the ID. So what we can do now, we can go to our, you can take this user projection and go to user repository. Go to user repository and make it an optional, right? Make it an optional, because sometimes the user may exist or not. So it will map into this interface. So if the ID exists, it will map to this, right? So what I can do here, I can just say find by ID projection. So I want it to be different with the find by ID of this one when we are not using projection, and we want to pass a string which is an ID. We want to look for an ID. We want to find user by ID in this user repository. So with this one, we need to add a query. We want to use custom query now. I told you about how to use a query. So I told you about using custom query. So we just say add query. So this, if you want to know more about these queries, there's this chat sheet. This one, if you go to Cipher chat sheet, you can see here. If you want, here we want to query something from this. So if you want to query, you can use this match. So using this match, you can see we just pass this one. We just copy this, and it's easy, and we can modify it here. So you just do this. And here it's a user. right? And it's a user. And in our user here, let's remove this. It's not a relationship here. We want to look for the user with the, so in Cipher query, we just add this, right? We want to look for an ID, which you passed here. We want to look for this ID. So remember, if you are familiar with JPA, you just add $8. We just say ID like this, or we just say user ID, and we want to return. So here we can find this user, and we need to return an ID. Let's return, make it capital letters. We need to return something. So if the ID exists, we want to return user dot ID, or we just add as, maybe if the columns are different, we can say at ID, comma. What else do we have in our user? All this we copied from our user. So you just say user dot name is name. If the columns are just the same, we just say user dot date of birth, user dot gender, comma, user dot language, comma, user dot country ISO. So we are just mapping this to our projection. So these are the fields that we identified to our projection. So this one will be mapped to our projection. So here we need to add a path variable, add path, yeah, add param, sorry. Here we need to add a param. Since we are passing this user ID, we just copy this and we can pass it here. So this ID will be mapped to here and it will fetch. So let's just test this if it's working okay on our application. Let's copy this and let's come here in our Neo4j. Let's look for, no, let's come here. I want to minimize this. Let's look for one user, and we have a user with an ID. The ID it's user 4. So let's test this. And for an ID here, I'll just say user 4. User 4. And we can test to run if it returns results. As you can see, it retained the results. If all these details are retained. So these details are being mapped to our. So we have an issue here. It's going to be a user.dob. So let me fix that. We need to add s. We need to s. So we have to rename this. Here it was name as dob, as gender, as language. We can copy this. We can also as country ISO 2. So as you can see now, our match is working fine. And I can replace this and here replace with the user or user 3. We have or have details. So you can see the ID, it's user 3, which is this ID, and these are the details. So this is how you can use match, and you can use this chart sheet to know more about how to retrieve details. So what we can do next, and we retain that user as a projection, and the ID is always unique. So This one is now working fine. We can get user projection. So we can go to our implementation and you can say user repository by user projection, which is user.id. So if it's present, it means a user already exists. So there's nothing we don't create a account again for this user. So you just say if it's present, we can throw runtime exception, say user, let me do this string dot format user with id, let's add a percent with id was already exists. Then we can pass the user dot get id, this one, and we throw this exception. Else we can create this user. Then we just say user repository save, like the way we do with the ordinary JPA. We can save user1, so it will return an ID. So after doing this, let me do this here, dot var, dot var, and you want to return this. Then we want to check if this user or this request here, let me refactor this one, rename, I can say if dot if this record is an artist, if it's true, here I just add to do add, we need to create artist and assign so we can do this later after we implement the logic for an artist. So this one I can delete this one, yeah, then we can return. So we will implement this after we are done with the creation of an artist. So this way is the way that we can do to create a user. So what we can do now, we want to add implementation for a user to follow an artist. So here we are passing a user ID and we're also passing an artist ID. As you can see, we can copy this as it is and we can go to our repository, which is our user repository, and we can do this. I think now you are familiar now with this, and we make this method a void and make this one a path variable because we want to use custom mapping here. So here it's going to be an artist ID, and this one it's going to be a user ID as usual. It's the same here. So since we already have this implementation, I shared with you, it's already in the resources. So let me close, let's go to our resources and have this cipher, and I want to open it here, and this one is no longer necessary. And let me close this model, this one. So this one is for following artists. So for following artists, we already have the implementation here where I added the implementation on the relationship, how to add a relationship for a user to follow an artist. So it means the artist must exist and the user must exist. So what we can do, let me search for follow. This is we want to add this implementation. You can see for match, we want to find an artist and then find a user, then we add a relationship. So what you can do, you just copy this implementation and we can come here. I already provided all these queries that you want to use. We can put them here. And we can delete these new lines, it's not necessary. And the other thing that we want to do here, we want to pass the time when this thing, when the local date time. So here in our method here, we just say comma local date time, which is created at, and then don't forget to add this param created at, and here we can pass the local date time dollar created at, and we need to replace this with the user ID. So for user ID, we just do this. Replace for user ID here, we hard coded, so we can replace this with the user ID who is following this artist, and for an artist we just do this, and this one is going to be an artist ID. So this is how we can implement this. We are okay here. So the thing that is happening here, first thing, we want to match if this user exists or if artist exists. If I come here, let me come here and let me write this query, match, and this one is going to be a user, right? And it's of type user. The label, it's user. You can see after add semicolon, we are now suggesting it's a node. So if they are round brackets, it means they are nodes. So then I want to look for this user with ID, with an ID user1. So we already have user1. So then we want to add a return. So we need to return something like user if you want to return this user. So if I do this, it will return one user, this user. So after doing this, I want also to look for artist. And an artist, it's a node, sorry. It's a node. So I just say artist. Then it's an artist. And I want to look for an artist who is with an ID, which is called artist1. Then if the artist exists also, I want to return an artist, which is this one. So it will return a user and an artist. You can see right now it shows, because there's a relationship between this user and the artist, so it showed that the relationships between this. But for the first time, if you want to follow a user, this user does not exist, right? So if you are not following this user, this follow arrow we won't be there. So if you want to add this arrow, we just create a merge. We must use a merge. So for a merge, if the record exists, it won't create a new one. It just remains the same. So we want to merge a user, right? So here user follows an artist. You just say user. So for a relationship, you have to add this square brackets, right? And we need to add the relationship type. So the relationship type is follows. Then it's following this what? And you have to add you have to add. So it means user is following this artist. You can see user follows this artist. So this arrow pointing to an artist, you must also add also this arrow which is follow to point to an artist. Then our node will be an artist. So if I do this and run this, nothing was created. It just returned the same record because this artist is already following this artist. So this is the implementation that we added here. This user follows this artist, but here I added a properties on the following arrow which is created it. You can see this follows, it's already have a created it. So that's why when I ran this, it found that this line already exists. So if it wasn't exist, it was going to create without the properties, but now it just keep the existing relationship. So this is how you can follow a user. So to, let's say you want to delete you want to unfollow a user. Let's add an implementation to unfollow a user. So to unfollow is just the same here. So we need to add the implementation to unfollow. So we know that this user already followed this artist. This user one is following this artist. Let's add the implementation to remove the this following. So what you can do, we just do the first thing is to match, right? Let's match this user. And we just say, let me just say you. And it's a user. And the other side, we want user one follows artist one. So the relationship is like this. It's just the same like what we did here. And in here, we just add followship. This user follows this artist. And a node, it's for artist. I just say a artist. But if I run this, it will return all users who follows an artist. If I run this, it's supposed to have a return. Here we just say, I forgot to add this. If you run like this, it's supposed to return something. Maybe let's return you and also artist. Wrong spelling of return here. Then let me run this. You can see it returns all the users, or every user who's following an artist. So what I want to do now, I want to look for a specific user who's following. So I want to look if we have a relationship of user one following an artist. So we want user one to unfollow. Sorry, I made it wrong. Remember, we are supposed to do this. And you are looking for an ID of this user. And for an artist, we have to do this. ID. We want to check if this user is following artist one. So if I run this, it will return. As you can see right now, it shows that user one is following artist. User one is following artist one. So we want to remove this followship. So to remove this followship here on our followship here, this square brackets, it means it's for followship. This round brackets, it means for a node. So here I just say relationship. Right? What I can do, I want to delete this relationship. We can come, we're deleting, if I say retain, we are retaining. If you want to delete that relationship, you can just say delete relationship. Then if I run this, the relationship is gone, deleted one relationship. So if I do the same again, if I say retain u and a, it won't return. There's no you can see there's no relationship between this one. So if I want to add this relation, I can do this again. If I want to add this relationship, you can see I added the relationship. And if I run this now, you can see we are now have this same relationship. So this is the implementation that we want to add for our delete. So we just copy into our application, and for follow, we just do this, and we just say user and follow, and we can delete everything that is in here. And let's remove this delete. It's not necessary. This new line is not necessary, and you want to pass a user ID and an artist ID. Here, let's remove this hard-coded artist ID. Here I made a mistake here, that colon must not be there. And for artist ID, this one. So this user is an ID and this artist is an ID. So here we just say delete. We can delete this relationship. So we can delete this relationship and we are not retaining anything. So this local datetime is not necessary here, so we can just delete it. So here we want to know when a person started to follow this user. So we just added this in our followship. So let's go to our user here, and we need to implement this logic. It's now easier. We just take user repository, user follow an artist, and then we can pass a user ID, and we can pass an artist ID, and we can pass the date, which is the date the user started to follow this. And we can come here also for a user we want to unfollow an artist. We have user ID and it does not have this third parameter, so which is user ID. So by doing this, we are now okay. We will be able to follow an artist, to unfollow an artist, to find a user using projection, and we are learning more new things of using this Cipher query. And remember, all these queries are in this chat sheet. So you can see this delete. If you want to delete a relationship, here you can look here where it's implementing this. You can delete a node and you can delete a relationship. And there are other things like remove, where you can remove a property or setting it to now, and you can use merge. Merge is just like create and merge. So don't use it most of the time. Use it when necessary, because merge, it will first look for everything and then it will merge, or you can result to creating unnecessary nodes on your application. So usually I use it when I'm creating relationships. So that's all for our user for now. So let's go to another implementation, which is a song. So we have a song record, this one. So we need to build all this also here. So what I can do for song record, let me open on this. So for song, we want to build a new song record. So just say song.builder. Then we want to pass a title, which is a name. So a song It's also if list, if also albums. Yeah, so if I say find by ID, I will get everything that, oh okay, I will get the year for this and in that year. But we are more concerned about this artist. We can have many of list of artists, and this artist have songs, so we can pull a lot of records and can pull a lot of comments which were posted to this song. So right now those details are, if the song exists, if you want to create it, if it has a comment, we are going to create a problem. So like what we did on the previous tutorial, let's create a projection for this. So we can go to the song projection. Let's create a song copy, song projection. So in song projection, we want few fields here, and these fields, let's go to a song. We need this only few fields, these ones. So if you want to find a song here, we just do this. So we just say public. In interface, it's always public, and it's return a string, get ID, get a description, get name, get status, storage ID, storage type. So we are trying to avoid to get list of but I want also a year, this one, get year, which is a year. In here there's no relationship of any list, so we are okay. So we just say year. It's a get year. So let's delete this. So we have to avoid add and a list when you are pulling data. For here it's okay because in here we don't have any list, so it won't pull anything. You just pull a year with these two fields, it's okay. But for a song, we have some list of comments of artists. Artists also have some songs and also they have comments, so we want to avoid that. So like what we did here on user, we have this find by ID projection, so we just want to do the same on the song. So here we just say song projection, and here it's going to be a song ID if you want to find this song. So here we just say song, then in our song we have to pass this song ID, and it's supposed to return what is in our projection. We want to return an ID. So here let's replace everything with user with song. So for song we can replace with an ID. For a name, song name, we can replace with a name. For description, we have description, we can replace with description. We have status. Here we have duration, and we map it as duration here. And we have storage ID, and we map it as storage ID. And we also have song dot type, storage type, and we can map it as type. We can map it as storage type, and we can have also song dot type is type in the year song dot year is year. So let's try to match this. Let's try to test this. In here, let's try to do this, and we want to return. Okay, it is returning that, yeah. And here you just say song 1. On our song we have called, that is called song 1, and let's run this. As you can see, it returned everything, and for here it's now, but it's okay. And the type of song and storage ID, everything was returned. So our query is working fine here. So if you want to get a song detail, we can use this query. We don't use find by ID. So let's go back to our song repository, our song implementation. Here we are not concerned about many things. When creating a song, we are creating a song for an artist and a released here. So what you want to do here, it's like we want to save this. So you just say song repository. It's a repository dot save. You want to save this song, and then we get a song, a saved one. Let's use this one being suggested. And there are two things that you want to do now. We want to get a year from our year service. Let's use this. Let's say year service so from year service, we want to create this song into a certain year. So you just say create. You want to create a year. This song supposed to be created in a year with this. The current year that you want to create this song is from here. Let's say dot released year, and it's an integer. So I made a mistake here. So I want to send it as integer, and here I want to make it an integer. Then I just want to find this by ID. I want to get this here by ID. Let me do this. Control V. Or I just say in this repository, it's an optional year find by year, integer year, and we are supposed to have one. This one we are supposed to have one record for each year. So 2023 one record. So the year it's a unique. So here I just say repos this find by year. We just say repository find by year, and then we can pass the year, or else it will return a null. Then I'll pass a year like this. Then it will return a null. If none in null, if the year is not equal to now, this one year 1 is not equal to now, it means the year already exists. So I will just return this year 1, or else I will save a year. So I'll just say repository, which is a year repository dot save, and it expects a year. I'll just say year dot builder id. I'll just say string value of year dot year is supposed to be the year also that we passed, dot build. So it will save and get a new ID here. So this one we just save a year. So after saving a year, we want now to assign this to an artist. So we want to assign this year. We want to add this year. This song must belong to this year, which we return from here. So what we can do here, we need to say to do it's like add song to a year relationship. So this one can be done into our artist, and also we created a song, right? But we haven't assigned it to an artist here, you can see. So we want to add song to a year relationship and artist relationship. So they are going to be we are going to have an implementation for that when we do the artist. So you come back, and in our artist, when we add a song to an artist, we can add this. So let's move on to like a song. So user can like a song. So let's add this like what we did before. This is going to be a void. Let's go to the music, to the song repository. In song repository, we want to do this. Remember, it's an interface, and we need to add a query. So a user can like a song. So here we have the song ID, comma. Let's look for a user. Let's look for a user like this. User, whereby this user is like this ID. $user ID. So it's going to be the same as this one, and we want to, let's delete this. So you are looking for a song by ID and look for a user, And also then a user likes a song based on our diagram. If you go to the likes here, you can see a user like a song. The relationship, it's user likes song. So this is the relationship that we add, and you can see on the relationship we have created it. Then you can do this user, we can say match in bracket user. Remember to do this, it's pointing to a song with a, this is a greater than sign, to a node of song. So this is the song that we are saying, and this is the user. User likes a song, full colon, then we can say likes. This relationship can show that this user likes this song. And what we can do here, we need to add a relationship here, a created it. Then we say created it, and we can do this. Dollar created it. Remember, we need to add a param. Which is a song, yeah, a song ID. Let's add another one, a user ID. Don't forget to add it. And we need a created date, which is created it, which is this parameter, the day when the user likes this song, and the local date time. Just say created it like this. So with this relationship, a user can like a song. So let's add another query, which is a user dislikes a song. User dislike. Yes, this one is for user dislike a song, and it's going to be a what? A match. We want to match this one. So like what we did here, a user dislikes a song. So we just want to copy this, and let's delete this. Let's delete this line. Then we can come here and we can put this. So user, so right now I did the opposite. This user dislike a song, so it means the arrow is now pointing this side. The relationship is that user likes a song, so you can just do the opposite, because it's not a song likes a user, so it's a user likes a song, so the arrow is pointing to the song. As you can see here, the arrow is pointing to the song, so make sure here your arrow is also pointing to a song. So if this matches, here we need to say relationship. If this matches, we just say delete, like what I showed you in the previous. Delete this relationship. If this relationship is true, you can delete it. So we can just test this by coming here, or let's first teach this one. Let's remove the created date. It doesn't matter, we are looking for the so let's just take this and test on our and run this query. We want to see if user one if user likes this song. Let's say the song 1 and the ID it's user 1. And we want to return song and user. Is our user 1 likes this is song. Which song is this one? Song 1. So you can see, let's run this. You can see this user 1 likes this song after running this query. So what you want to do now, we want to delete this relationship. Then we just say delete relationship. Let's delete the likes relationship like this, and we can run this. So you can see it was deleted. So that is the logic for removing the relationship. So it means the user dislikes a song. So let's add the relationship on that to like this song. Oh, sorry. Let's copy this and come here. And we have song 1. We already have this one. Just say song 1. We want to add the relationship again. User 1. For the likes date here, we just say local. I think it's created it. We can set the current time, local date time. You can see here local date. Let's see on our queries for a local date time. We have timestamp. Let's look for local. You can see we have this one. We want to use local date time, which is this one, so that it will create the local date time like what I typed before. So we want to add this relationship, user likes this, and I can run this. Remember, sorry, here we must remove these brackets. This one, they are invalid. This one, let's remove this like this, then we can run. You can see a one property, which is a one relationship, was created. So if I come here and say return user and song, it will return our new node with the local with the time which you liked, this, which is the current time that I'm recording this video. So it means our implementation is working fine. So let's code this in the implementation here. So you just say repository user like a song, and you can pass the song ID, and you can pass the user ID, and you can pass the local to time equals to now, and here you just say repository dot user dislike a song. You can pass the song ID and the user ID And for dislike, you don't need this lockout date time. So everything is okay here. And for the delete part here, just say repository dot delete by id, so it will delete the song in the relationships, that is the user likes or everything. If someone is like the song, and you can pass the id. So we'll come back here and fix this later. So we need now to go to the artist, because you can see on the artist we need the relationship of a year and the artist. So this song must be assigned an artist, also must be assigned to a year. So let's go to the artist implementation. Here I have album, so I didn't add artist implementation, so let's add the artist service. Copy, artist service. So we need to create an artist. Let me make it clear. Create new artist here, and I need also a find here, but this one I'm going to use the projection. Find by id. So if you okay, we can have a user like an artist, or let me remove this. We can add some implementation here. Let's delete this. So what I want to do is to add the implementation of an artist. New Java class. The implementation implements this, and then here it service, it required constructor, it SL. Okay, let me leave it like that. Then we say private final artist repository, like this. It's now injected. So let's go to our projection, because before we create, we want to find if the artist exists. So in our user, just copy, paste, and then we want to say artist projection. In our artist, we just need to get these few fields. If you go to the artist model, you can see there's a list of, it has genre, we have songs, and we have albums. So we wouldn't want to retrieve all these details, so we just need to get these details only. So you can use this projection, and you can go to artist repository, then say optional, we want to find the artist projection. Please return this. Find by id projection 8 param. This is the artist ID, and it's a string. Find by id. Okay, find by id projection. So remember, custom queries always add query. For a match, we just say user of type, our model, it's a user, this is our label, and we want to look for the id of this one, of artist id. Sorry, here it's supposed to be an artist. We are looking for the artist. Then we can return artist like this. If we copy this query here, don't forget to add what you are doing. It's a match. We want to match if this artist with this id exists, and it will return the artist if it exists. This is going to be our projection, and it just looks for the id and name. We are not retrieving or details, so we just come here and we can go here and we can test our query. Let's look for the artist one. We just say artist one and we can run this. It retains the details, so that's fine. So let's now copy for the find artist by id. We can come back to our artist implementation here, where we just say artist repository dot find by id projection, and can pass by id. So this, it's an optional, or else it can return a null. It means the artist doesn't exist, or it's a projection. Sorry, here it's a projection, so we can do this. It return an artist projection, and using a builder dot id artist projection dot get id artist projection dot name, and also build. And let me remove this error. But this one, it only works when the artist exists. So you just check if the art projection is none now. If none now, if none now, or if it's now, to return it to return a null, so we avoid a null pointer exceptions. So when you want to create an album, a new artist, we just want to do this artists.id so if it's now, we can throw an exception. We shall add custom exception later. If it's now, we can throw an exception. In fact, if it's none now, it's none now. None. If it's none now, we can throw exception. It means an artist exists. Throw new runtime exception, and we just say string dot format artists with id, and this is going to be our id. already exists, which is an artist one. Let's say artist.id. To do add custom exception. Then if the artist does not exist, we need to create a new one. .build id, which is an artist.id, and we have name, then we can build. So in creating a new artist, these are the only fields that you want. Then we can come here and we say .save. You want to save this one. So this one, it will create an artist, and we can do this, or I can just do this in line. So the relationship of adding an artist user is an artist, so we can just do this. We can do the relationship here. So this, now we have the artist, this one. So we can come to our user service implementation here. You remember we wanted to assign an artist and relationship here. So what you can do is to come here and say artist service. So in our artist service, we want to create an artist here. Create a new artist, and we just say artist, this one, dot builder dot id, and the ID of a user, we just take it from here, dot id, dot name, which is also coming from get name, dot build. So by doing this, we created an artist.var, and you can return an artist. Since we have an artist, we need to create a relationship now, whereby this user is an artist. So that relationship, I think we already have that relationship in the user repository. So far we don't have that relationship, so we can do that right now. So if you go to our Cipher, this one, we have a relationship which is called is this user is an artist, this one. So it requires the user and to add a relationship. So let's go to we can copy this, and we can come here to the user repository, and let me just copy this, or let me copy this one, which is like the same. So add artist and user relationship. So our query, it's going to be a merge as usual. So what you want to do for this user, we just do this, copy this, and in here we just do this. Let's delete everything here. It's a simple one. So you are looking for this artist ID and user ID. So in a user, let's see here who is a user. A user is an artist. So here we just put a comma. We'll put a comma here, and after doing that, a user is an artist, so it's a merge. Let's just copy this merge. Which is going to be a user. Remember, in our relationship, a user is an artist, which is this one. So it means this user that you are looking here is an artist. So we want to add a created it. When I created, we want to know the date when this user became an artist. So in our relationship, we just do this. Created it $. We can add this value. So we add a relationship when this user became an artist. That's all for this. So what we want to do next, we need to add this relationship here when registering. So we just say repository, then we want to pass the safety user here, which is the user ID, get ID, and for the artist here, I think we have the artist ID. The artist ID is the same as the user ID, so you just get the ID from here, and the time when they become friends, which is local. The time goes to now. So you have added this relationship to create an artist and assign relationship. So after doing this, you are now okay. This is the detail that we saved. So for this implementation of creating a user and artist relationship is done, we are left with the other one whereby we assign a song here. So let's go to the song repository, a song implementation. Remember here we need to add a song to a relationship and artist also. So this thing is being done in the artist relationship. So we can go also here, let's import the artist service, and in this artist service we want to add that relationship, which is this one dot assign song add artists and here a relationship. So we want to look for this artist, which is we want to pass an artist ID, remember, and we want to pass a year, which is this one, the year this song was created, year the song was released. So we can create this. Do you want we have the artist ID, we have the released year, and you also need a song, comma, saved song dot id. So we need this relationship, so let's add this into our, it's going to be supposed to be artist like this. And let's implement this logic here. So remember, we want to add this relationship. So to add this relationship, we need to do this. Let's come and copy this, and we can go to the here. So this one is, we will be able to know what we are supposed to do. So we just make it a void. Here it's a release. Here, and this one it's a song ID. So we need to add this query. The first query is to match these details if the artist exists, and also we want to check also the year. So let's add the comma here. For year, we just say year full colon. We want to match this year. Which is a, sorry, remember it's not supposed to be on the value, that's where we put the dollar, which is a released year. And I made a mistake here, it's supposed to be like this. We are looking for a year. Remember, in our year here we are looking for this year, which is an integer, and we want to also to search for a song. We just say song, searching this, and remember this, and we say ID that we want to search, which is this song ID, dollar song ID. In here, don't forget to add param, which is a song ID. It's a released here, and this one it's an artist ID. Released here, you're going to replace this and this and this song ID released here. So after doing this, we need now to merge, we need to add this relationship now. So the first relationship that we want, if you go to an artist, song, and the year, if you come here, we can go to an artist or to a song, right? This song, if you click it, I want to do this. Let me zoom now, so you can see this artist created this song, right? So we want to add this relationship, which is artist created song. So here we just say match. We want to match an artist, and our relationship, it's going to be created. Remember to add a full colon for a relationship. Created, it's like created, and remember to add this. So this, we are created this song, which is the song that we find here. this song. After doing that, we have merged this, and we want to do the same, another merge, which is to assign this to a year. So let's go back and see our relationship to a year. This song, okay, you can see this song is in, you can see for every song it has a released year, like every song have a released year. So a song released in 2023. So let's add this, a song released in this year, which is the year which was passed, and the year we have saved the year. So we just add the relationship. So after doing this, we are okay. But remember, I prefer to add some date when these things are being done. So I can do this, created it. I need to have this information maybe in future to know when this artist created this song. So I just say, we can just copy this local date time, which you see here. We just copy this one, and we can come back and we can put this here, and we can do the same here. When this operation was also done, when we merge a song into this, it's not local time. So the easiest way, I prefer to do this, comma, I just say created it, and it's going to be local. So here I was supposed to create a local date. I was supposed to create a local date time, but let me replace it with this, and replace this. With this. So I think here we are okay. We added the relationship when this thing happened. So we need now to come here into our artist repository, artist service implementation, and in here we just say repository, and we can call this method, and this method is one, it allows a artist ID released here, which is an artist ID integer, and a song ID, which this one, and a local date time goes to now. Here we just say refactor, or just say shift F6, song ID, shift F6, released here. So this method, remember, it's being called here. So when we create a song, we can now assign this song to an artist, and also this song to a released year, to a year when it was released. That's all. I think from here we are now okay, and the song we can return this soft. So the purpose of adding this, like create a year, it's like whenever we are creating a song, we want to be sure that the year exists or not. So if the year it doesn't exist, it will create another one, or we can get an existing year. So it's just to be sure that when we search by year, when we are searching this by year, the year is supposed to be there. So that's why we are saving or getting a year when calling the create year. For the first time, it will create for the first user who can say I'm releasing this in 2027. The first user for 20 to have that node 2027 is the year is going to be created first. For others which are released in 2027, they'll get that existing 2027 year. So that's okay from here. So let's go next and find by ID, create a new artist. I think here we are okay. If we need some implementation, we will come back. So I think the next thing, did we create a genre? So for genre, it's easy. We can do this. We just say genre repository dot save, and the genre that you want to save, we just say dot builder. The name which is coming from genre dot name dot build, and I think we have a key, name and key dot key genre dot get key. So here we can save the genre. Here we can delete genre repository dot delete, and you can delete by ID. But if I want to delete this genre, it will delete the other nodes. So I don't think this method is going to be crucial, and it will delete every other things. So let me remove this one. If we added this one, we can leave it like that. You want to be sure, add artist to genre. We have genre and we have an artist ID. So we also need a date when this thing is going to be created. So let's go to genre repository as usual, and it's going to be a void here and add param genre ID. Let me copy this. We need the artist ID, and we also need created it, and it's a local date time. I can say created it. Remember, we want to add an artist to genre, so it's a custom query. At query, remember, we must first match the genre ID and the artist ID. Match, and we want to match a genre ID, so we just say genre and ID. For this, it's going to be $, genre ID, and we want also to match we put a comma. For matching, we just want to do this. We want to match the artist ID, which is this one, and here we just say artist, and you are looking for the artist label. So after matching, if this record exists, we need now to add a relationship. We just say merge, and our relationship is going to be this one, remember, like this, and the node. So let's go to the genre. If you go to the genre, you can see between the artists, so you can see this song, as you can see here, this song belongs to this genre, so the relationship is going this way from song to genre. So you just say song, and it's going to this, it's going this direction. So here it's going to be belongs to and again it belongs to this genre. So if I come here and compare this with what we have in our Cipher query, you can see here this one is for artist, sorry. So here we looked for an artist, it's not a song, so it's just being the same. We don't have, so it means this artist belongs to this genre. And if we come here, this artist, let's look for an artist. You see this artist belongs to this genre, so we can come back again. We have the artist and we also have a song. So for a song, we just say here it's going to be a song, and we can pass a song ID, and we are not looking into an artist, we are looking into a song, and we can pass it song to genre, and where we say artist ID, we just say song ID, and here just play a song. But when we do this, let's add the date. Created it $, can pass this value. When this operation one was happened, we need this, we need to know this. We are adding it on our property, so we can add song to this genre, or we can remove that song into that genre. Let's see on our genre implementation, remove song to genre. So we can remove, or what I can do, remove song. We need the genre ID and song ID. So this one is no longer necessary, the created it. And for a relationship, we just match this one, right? And we need this one, because we know that the artist belongs to a genre. So let's delete this. We need the relationship now. We want to delete a relationship, and here it's no longer searching like this. We are checking if this artist, if this song belongs to a genre. So is this song, we can see the flow of a song here. I forgot to do this. If this song belongs to this genre, so here is this song belongs to a genre, so the arrow is supposed to be in our relationship, the arrow is supposed to point in this side. It means then we can remove this one. So if this song belongs to this genre, if it says in our relationship, we just say relationship. If the relationship exists, we just delete this relationship. Delete a relationship. So this is how you can delete a relationship, like what we were doing before. So let's go to the genre service implementation, and in here we just say add artist to genre. Add artist to genre. We pass a genre ID and we pass an artist ID and a local date time equals to now. So we need to remove also artist from genre. We can do that. I did add that implementation. Add song to genre. You can pass a genre ID, a song ID, and a local date time. And we can remove song from genre dot remove. So here, so remove song, it's supposed to be from. So we can pass genre ID and song ID. So what you can do here, we can go here and we can do Shift F6, remove song, remove artists, Shift F6, and we can come here and we can do the same here. Refactor, rename from. This is the way of removing from genre. And when removing the relationship, this one created, it doesn't matter. We are not passing it here. So for removing, let's remove an artist from this genre. So you're supposed to be an artist, and you're supposed to be an artist ID. Don't forget to replace this. Then we can delete the relationship. So we can remove artist. Then we can come back here. We just say genre repository dot remove artist, and we can pass the genre ID and the artist ID. So this is the implementation. We are okay by adding, removing, adding relationship between songs and artists. So let's move on to the next. We have, so we need to add also for album. So for an album, we can delete this, delete by ID, and we want to create a new album. So in creating an album, by default it does not have anything, so we just say repository dot save, and we just say album dot builder name, which is supposed to be album dot name, dot description, which is an album dot description, and we want to add the status. We shall add an enum here, set status. In this status, I'll say draft, or let me add the status enum in our model. It's time to make things right, and it's supposed to be an enum. The first enum, when you create a song, the first enum, it's a draft. And we also have the published. So when a user click the publish button, the song will be released, and a song can be blocked. And also maybe we can have sometimes where you want an approver from the admin, approved. And also let's say deleted. Maybe the status maybe won't show, so we don't want to delete this thing permanently, maybe in future. So you just say draft, this one from our model, and here you just say status. So these are the three fields that you want, and we just say .build. So we can create a new album here, and we can delete an album. And in here, what else do we want to do here? We want to use a like an album. We also have something like a like user like an album. If you go to the user service or user repository, we have similar thing like this one, which was like a follow. So let's just copy this. Let's copy this, which is a user like an album. So let's go to the album repository. So user likes album. So if here we just say user, and then we pass a user label. Here we have an okay. Let me just copy the first one, and then let's say album. You just say album ID. So here it's user likes an album. This is the relationship. So here when we're saying album ID, we just do this, and let's delete this $sign because it equals a problem to us, and here just say album ID. So it means this user where we are looking here likes an album. So let's add the delete void user. So we want to pass these two parameters only, the user and album ID, and we edit query. In this one, we want to look for the user like what we did here. this user, copy. Let's search for the user, sorry, in double quotes. Let's search for the user, and the relationship is user likes an album. This relationship, we need it. And we need this album. We want to search for this album, which is an album ID. So after we find this detail, we want to delete a relationship. Delete. And here we didn't add a relationship, we just said relationship. We want to delete this relationship. Let's remove the properties inside our relationship. We can delete this relationship here. Okay, so this is what we have here. If we go to the likes, you can see here, do you have an album here? I don't think it's this. Okay, this is an, yeah, this is an album. User likes an album and the date when this user likes this album, so it's okay. So let's go to the album service implementation. Here we just say album repository dot user like an album. Then here we just pass, it requires a user ID, comma, and an album ID, and the time when this user likes this album. And we say album repository dot dislike, and we pass a user ID and an album ID. So that's okay. So we have managed to add this implementation for user to like an album or dislike an album, or we can delete an album. So let's go next. In our service implementation, I think we don't have the playlist right now, and our playlist needs this. We need a playlist title and a created time and a user. So what you can do when creating a playlist, we are creating a new playlist. Let's go to the playlist, this one, and let's go to the playlist service implementation. So we can do this playlist dot builder. Then we can set the title, which is the playlist, get title. We have description. Maybe you want to add some description of your playlist. Description. And we want to set a user. So what you want to do here, we want to avoid .build.var. So this is going to be a playlist one. So we can say playlist, this one, dot save. We can save the playlist one. And we can get the saved playlist. So after adding the saved playlist here, we want to assign a created date. So what we can do with the user who created this playlist, so we can come here also again. So in our playlist repository, we have added this playlist user relationship, whereby we have passed a playlist ID, a user ID, and the time when this relationship has been created. So we are fetching the user and we are fetching the playlist, and then the user created a playlist at this time. And we also add a song to a playlist, whereby we fetch a song and we search a playlist, and the playlist contains a song. So this relationship, you can see if you go to the playlist, this one and the playlist one, you can see this user created a playlist, and I replaced the created by because it's not making sense. So I just put user created playlist, and the playlist contains songs. You can see this playlist contains this song, and this song, and we are calling this. So after saving the playlist, we are now add this playlist, and we are adding the relationship between the user and the playlist who created that song. And here we just say delete playlist by ID, and here we are adding a song into a playlist. So this is going to be the song ID, and the implementation is the same, just assigning the relationships. And we also add the comment repository. So for a comment, we need to find the comment that we saved first, and we need to find the song. So a user is commenting to a song, and we add a user posted a comment. So it means the user that we found here posted a comment, and in the comment we just say comment, yes, this comment, yes, this comment is comment songs. So if you go to in here and you go to the comments, if we click this comment and do this, you can see the comment is song, and comment a song, and the user posted this comment. So that's the relationship that we did here. So in our service, where we are creating a comment first, right? Then we are adding a relationship of the person who created a comment. For update, I shall show you how to update a record with certain fields, and we are going to use the set command from the query, and here we are deleting a comment. And in our I modified this in our playlist. I think it's artist repository, which is in artist projection. So in artist projection, if I go to the artist repository, here where we will find artist, since the projection is supposed to retain an ID and a name, when you remember in your return statement, you're supposed to say artist.name and artist.name, artist.id and artist.name, and it will be mapped to here. Don't use find by ID. It's a constraint to the application, and you can pull unnecessary data. So this is the implementation that you have. So for when creating an album, when creating an album, there's something that we want to modify here. We just add annotation to create an album, delete an album, and also user likes an album, fetch a user, fetch an album, add a relationship, means this user like this album. If you dislike an album, search for a user, search for an album, add a relationship between the two, and delete the relationship which is in here. That's all we can do here. So if you want to create an album, we need also, there's something that left here. We need to know this album, the year it was released. So if we go to an album, we need to know the year a released year. So what I can do here, I just say integer released year, copy this, and let's go here. When creating an album, we want to know the year the album was released. And also I think we forgot something for this when I created this. And let's remove this, and we just say build Let's save this. Let's save this and return this. So I think we forgot something here. We need to add a relationship between the year this album was released, and also we need to add the artist who created this album. As you can see, we don't have the artist relationship. So let's go to our repository, which is our album. So we can copy one of the query here. I need this one. Okay, let me copy this one. Add released year and artist. So here we need an artist ID, which is this one. You don't need a user, so you just replace this with an artist ID. Here we just say artist. So after adding an artist ID, we can search also the album. From the album, which is the album that we just created. So we need an album ID. And we can also look for the year released here. Let's paste it, and here we just say year. It's no longer an ID, we are looking for the year. So for the year, here we have artist ID, and here created it, and we need a year. It's an integer. Our year is an integer. So after doing this, what we can do is just let's delete this one. So we need to add a merge here. We need to merge this and add a relationship like this, and add a relationship. We want to add a relationship. The first relationship, which is simple, is just this album released in. So this album, then full colon, released. This album released in this year, This is the first relationship. Then we can do the next. It's another merge that you want. So it will create a relationship, and we need the artist who created this album. So this album, so this user, we need to say this user created, which means this artist, sorry, here it's an artist, created this album. So let's go to our relationship. We want to see, let's go to an album and do this. So you can see this artist created this album, and this album was released in 2020. So that's the relationship. These two relationship. This is the two relationship that we are adding. Artist created an album, and album released in 2023. So it's okay. Album released in 2023, and this artist created an album. So I think by doing this we are okay. And we can, if you want to add like this, when this was created, you can just do this and it created it. When this happened, so you can add created it in the released relationship and in the created relationship. So after doing this, we can come back to our implementation. Let's remove this, and then we say album repository dot here we need an artist ID. So far we didn't pass an artist ID, so let's go here and say string so we need an artist ID, we need an album ID, which is the album that we just saved, and we need here it was released here, and we also need the local date time, the time when it was created. So after doing this, we can save. It's already saved. Here just adding relationship because we are depending on the album ID here. So that's why we first save the album, and we can add the relationship between the artist who created the album and the year. So we just add this relationship, which is a match. So that's all for this. And the other thing is just adding the like and the dislike of an album. So I think we have covered everything that we wanted for this service. For these services, I think almost all methods are implemented. I don't think we have left anything. So thank you guys for watching this video. If you are new to this channel, may you kindly subscribe, click the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever we upload new videos. You have learned a lot of things on this tutorial, that including the match and merging and adding relationships. We are now able to write custom queries using Cipher Queries. It's easy. I showed you step by step why we are doing this, and I showed you in examples why we are doing this. So let's meet on another video where we are going to create REST APIs to save these details, and we shall add security on the next tutorial. Salut coders.